defense attorney for Tyler Robinson along with John Aaron Bray, the originator of the microphone theory science. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury and your honor, before we examine a single piece of video evidence, let me first explain the powerful legal rule called fruit of the poisonous tree, in simple terms everyone understands. Imagine a bad apple tree that grew from poisoned soil. Any apples, branches, leaves, roots, or even pies, cider, jam, or seeds made from those apples are all tainted and cannot be brought into this courtroom as evidence. The Supreme Court created this vital constitutional protection nearly a century ago in landmark cases like Silverthorne Lumber Company v. United States 1920 and Nardone v. United States 1939, and it has been reinforced in decisions such as Wong Sun v. United States 1963. These rulings ensure that police and prosecutors cannot break the rules, rely on an illegal search, coerced confession, or false foundational fact at the very beginning and then use everything that grows from that mistake against an innocent person. Constitutionally, this doctrine flows directly from the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, the Fifth Amendment's Due Process Clause, and the 14th Amendment's guarantee of fundamental fairness. It acts as a judicial check on government overreach. If the root is tainted, the entire tree, including derivative evidence like witness statements obtained after an illegal arrest or lab reports built on a flawed assumption, must be excluded to deter misconduct and preserve the integrity of the judicial process. In this trial, the very first fact the prosecution assumes and builds their whole story around is that a bullet from Tyler Robinson's .3006 rifle killed Charlie Kirk. Once we prove with 7 clear, easy-to-understand high school-level science methods, supported by pristine, unaltered raw video data, that it was not a bullet or any gun at all, the entire case tree becomes poisoned from the root. Surveillance videos, DNA matches pulled from the supposed weapon, cell phone location pings and tower data that prosecutors used to place Tyler Robinson near the scene, remorseful texts sent afterward, ballistics reports, rooftop witness stories, campus security cams, autopsy conclusions, and every other detail they presented. None of it matters anymore or can be used against Tyler Robinson. Why? Because cell phone data, for example, comes from carrier records and GPS metadata that investigators only pursued and analyzed after assuming the rifle shot as the cause of death. It is derivative evidence grown directly from the poisoned root assumption. Without the false bullet premise, those pings lose all relevance and must be suppressed. The whole prosecution case collapses once the foundational cause of death error is exposed. We are here with Mr. Michael Aaron Bray, a proud fourth-generation forensic and ballistic scientist whose family has chased truth for over a century. His great-grandfather used basic microscopes and simple chemistry tests to examine crime scene evidence in small towns. His grandfather mastered bullet trajectory math and gunpowder residue patterns in major city investigations. His father brought early computers to model how objects move and break on impact. Today Mr. Bray combines all that generational knowledge with modern video pixel tracking, sound wave studies, energy calculations, color analysis, and multi-angle synchronization to show what really happened on that stage. Using only the clear, publicly verifiable evidence at followtheepicenter.com, raw, high frame rate footage from multiple eyewitness phones and cameras that remains completely clean, uncompressed, and unaltered, we prove the real cause was an internal energetic event inside the small Rode Wireless Pro microphone transmitter clipped right to Mr. Kirk's shirt, something like a LiPo battery undergoing thermal runaway and releasing pressure suddenly from within. Think of the data like pristine crime scene photographs taken with a high-end forensic camera. No JPEG compression artifacts, no dropped frames, no editing software applied, just original sensor-captured pixels at 30 to 60 frames per second, providing crystal clear temporal resolution down to roughly 16 to 33 milliseconds per frame. This is as clean as laboratory-controlled footage, not disrupted by compression algorithms that blur motion or by post-production tweaks that could introduce artifacts. It is the digital equivalent of an untouched fingerprint lifted straight from a glass surface with fresh powder. No smudges, no contamination. Layer 1 uses video enhancement science with special computer filters named Clahe for adaptive contrast and high-pass filters that act just like turning on night vision goggles or an X-ray machine to reveal invisible gas. You see a faint puff of gas escaping from under the front shirt collar. One complete video frame, roughly 33 milliseconds, before any shirt fabric even starts to stretch or bulge outward. This is exactly like shaking a closed soda bottle hard and then opening it so pressure explodes from inside first, with gas clearly preceding all mechanical movement. Another analogy: imagine dropping a Mentos candy into a Diet Coke bottle. The CO2 gas erupts upward instantly from the internal reaction long before the liquid foam visibly surges out. A third analogy is a car's airbag deployment. The initial gas inflation happens in milliseconds from the internal chemical trigger, well before the fabric bag fully expands outward toward the occupant. Layer 2 brings optical flow science where the computer draws green arrow vectors showing direction and speed of every pixel between frames, like weather maps with wind arrows across a city or traffic flow diagrams on a highway monitoring system. All arrows burst outward in a clean radial sphere pattern from the exact mic clip spot with no straight bullet path, showing full 360-degree expansion instead of directional impact. Picture ripples spreading perfectly circular from a stone dropped in a still pond, radial, not linear like an arrow piercing water from one side. A fourth analogy is a popcorn kernel heating in a microwave. Pressure builds internally until it pops outward in all directions uniformly, not from an external poke. Layer 3 adds motion heat map science using Farnbach algorithms and frame differencing that color codes movement like a thermal camera at a rock concert or an infrared weather radar tracking a storm's eye. The hottest spot is 4 times brighter exactly at pixel coordinates 775 by 562 on the transmitter, proving sudden internal burst from the device location itself. Like a heat map of a forest fire starting at one ignition point and radiating out symmetrically, rather than a lightning strike hitting from above in a straight line. The final 4 layers use simple high school physics, biology, math, and computer measurements to lock the truth so tightly no other story fits. Layer 4 is materials color forensics and dimensional analysis with blue-red ratios, lab color shifts, and hue distributions matching the ejected blue road circuit board sliding inside the shirt after breaking open, plus slow motion geometry confirming the 30 by 28 mm size through fabric. This matches known Rode Wireless Pro specifications exactly, as verified frame by frame in the raw footage. Layer 5 mixes kinetics physics and fluid dynamics biology showing the metal necklace chain launch needing over 6.8 joules of energy, like an inside kick, while visible blood appeared 429 to 461 milliseconds later, 30 to 110 times slower than Bernoulli-Torricelli equations predict for a neck gunshot. Decorticate posturing also appeared before any wound, consistent with an internal brain affecting pressure wave rather than external trauma. Think of a balloon popping inside a sealed box. The pressure wave hits first internally before any external signs appear. Layer 6 employs acoustics and audio source separation science with a unique clear 4940 Hz tone in spectrograms from multiple videos and advanced stereo triangulation from different stage angles pinpointing the exact loud pop sound origin directly at the chest microphone position, hundreds of feet away from any possible rooftop. This is like using multiple microphones at a concert to triangulate a single speaker's location amid crowd noise. Precise, multi-source verified. Layer 7 is the grand synthesis layer that ties every discipline together with total energy math over 15.6 joules, careful observation of decorticate posturing brain injury reactions before any neck wound could form, and the unbreakable timeline of gas release first, then shirt deformation, then much later bleeding. All 7 layers from optical flow vectors, gas imaging filters, color and materials forensics, kinetics energy math, fluid biology timing, acoustics sound tracking, and full integrated synthesis line up perfectly with no other scientific explanation that fits the pristine videos. Therefore, the whole prosecution case is built on a rotten poisonous tree and must be thrown out completely under constitutional protections. Please study every clear frame, number, arrow, and color shift for yourselves at followtheepicenter.com. Return the only fair verdict of not guilty for Tyler Robinson so real science and true justice can finally win in this courtroom.
There you have it. I could be Tyler Robinson's defense team with John Aaron Bray. Follow the science. It was a microphone that exploded that killed Charlie Kirk, not a bullet.